The future is female. This panel will be about navigating how can we make an actual difference in the music industry to make female and FLINTA voices heard, how can we actually make a change and to change the, let's say, the old discussion for a new one, and how we can do that in a good way. So we are very excited to have this topic with you today. And I would like to start by giving a big round of applause for our speakers. So I will let you guys introduce yourselves, but I will introduce you with your name. So we have Marie Kück, we have Henrike Kresser, we have Mystery Affair, and we have Natalia San Juan. Big round of applause, one more time, please. Thank you. So I think it's nice to start with if you all would like to introduce yourself a little bit, and how is your journey in the industry, what is your role? So yes, maybe Marie, you want to start?
Sure. Hi, I'm Marie. I'm working for Virgin Records Universal Music. I think I started 4 years ago, not sure, as an intern actually. And I'm working as an A&R now, basically in Germany, but also signing global artists in the dance space, more commercial, but also trance. And yeah, happy to be here today.
Perfect. I'm going to take over. I'm Henny. I am with Warner Music, Central Europe. I am in the dance department right now doing marketing for any kind of electronic music artist, may it be trance, Afro house, general house music, techno, EDM, dance, pop, whatever it is. So yeah, I was very honored to work with a lot of different artists of different sizes, different genres, and I've changed into dance marketing 1.5 years ago. Before I was a key account manager for YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. So I've done the entire content side of things a lot, which also helped a lot of artists to understand more about the platforms when I changed into the dance marketing side. And on the side, I'm always happy to explore dance culture, electronic music culture in depth, and work with young women, support the industry where I can.
Hello, everybody. My name is Erika, but my DJ project is called Mystery Affair. I've been DJing from 15 years now in Mexico and the world. And also, I am a club owner in Mexico, also a promoter and a label manager for my own record label called Power. So, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Natalia. I have different hats in the music industry, as usual, because everyone has different hats. One of them, I work probably since 20 years in the music industry in Latin America. I'm from Uruguay, but I live in Barcelona. In Barcelona, I create a movement called Femnoise. Start like a small collective and then a platform who make a map to try to find when or where is all the women inside of the music industry. And now we create a label for trying to promote more producers, more women and FLINTA producers in the electronic music. And at the same time, I'm manager of this artist, Mexican power artist called Mystery Affair. Nice to meet you. And thanks to FM for inviting me to this panel.
Thank you all. So I would like to start with, let's say, maybe the obvious, but I would still like to hear your side of this and your stories, maybe what you have seen, what you've experienced. What are the issues?
Yeah, I think we can start with, as you're saying, the obvious ones, maybe some facts which all of you are probably aware of, but it might be nice to get into it and really look at it from the factual side. So you can see where we're still at. For example, Blondish is the first female resident this year at Pasha on Ibiza. No one ever else headlined in Pasha, so I think that's very crucial to know. Also, if we look at the DJ Mag top 100 DJs, there's only 13% women and only one woman, Charlotte de Witt, in the top 10 last year. So I feel like that's not enough, obviously. I could go on about the facts, but if we also look at the teams who surround women, it's always probably still more men around them. And I feel like that's the real way to go more into the teams, the people who actually work on the projects and bring up women for women. And for me, one of the most important things, I feel like there's always this anger towards men, but I wouldn't want to focus towards that. I would want to focus towards being more joyful for women. So I think that's my main point today.
I think for me, I saw in the past 10 years, I think, the people talk about the presence of the woman in the music industry, and I think it's not so long time to think, you know, but I think we move forward a lot with different collectives, like, for example, for me, one reference is Female Pressure. They start in 2013 to investigate the presence of women in different festivals and lineups in the electronic music. And in that time, we only have the 10% of the representation in big festivals and clubs, and now today we have 29. Okay, we move a lot, but I think we still have a super poor representation in the lineups. And the problem is not only in the lineups, it's behind the lineups, okay? We don't want to be the front woman inside of the stage. We want to create more technicians, we want to create more women in other positions, like INR and managers and other things. We have a lot of problems, but we think we move forward really, really fast, but we have a lot of work to do.
Also on the streaming side, I think, and the big companies, we have an underrepresentation of women in managing boards. And when you look into playlists, best of playlists, for example, there's not only a fifth main artist female, so that's frustrating, I'd say, just to add that.
Well, in the club night industry is also, I think, is growing. As I told you recently, like, I get super surprised in Mexico. Like, when I first opened my first club in 2011, it was like mostly men, and now they in the new one is like they are more women than men, and it was very, very surprising for me to see how women are more involved in the music night electronic industry.
Yeah, but we still listen a lot of music created for men, and I think that is our huge gender bias now, I think, no?
And let's actually talk a little bit about algorithms. Maybe you, Natalia, would like to say something about this, because we have some unfair, let's say, algorithms out there as well.
I'm not the expert, but I have a lot of friend experts. But I'm passionate about the things because I love technology, and I think the algorithms is unfair, you know. But it's unfair because we talked to later before, sorry, about the thing, because, for example, we have a lot of men producers. Probably the 85% of the producers inside Spotify are men. We are only 3% or 5% of women indicated or put in the platform like producers, you know? And that is a huge issue, because if we want to jump the gender gap, we need to create more women producers. Not only women DJs, because the DJs play music, but play music create for men. And the algorithm obviously represent the idea to recommend, for example, the things or the music create for the people select more. And what is, if we have 85% of men producers, obviously we always listen more music created by men, you know? We have two options. One is maybe trying to create more fair algorithm, because it's like a non-binary or binary things, you know. You can put more value in, if you are a woman, you probably have more position if you can better options to be more listen for other people, or we can create more women producers and help them to create more good music and try to understand better the business inside, because it's not only produced for produce. It's produced and trying to get more royalties. I listen in the past, before speakers, and they say, okay, a lot of people doesn't know who you can get or recover your royalties, for example. And it's super weird for me, because it's a lot of producers, they don't know about the pros, for example. And we need to teach a little bit more. We need to make more efforts to try to explain to the artist who is the correct way to make the music business in this, you know?
Also, I think we need to empower more women to actually lose the fear about producing music. As I was telling you, like, it's when you are, in my case, for example, like women, queer, whatever, it's like it's difficult to approach no approach, like to have the confidence of say, hey, I can actually produce good music, no? And then you maybe try to get the advice of your main colleagues, and they were like, and they normally are like, oh, okay, yeah, but I can help you with this or with that, and then you catch the idea and things. And but yeah, we need more support to get more confidence to actually do it.
And sometimes the man thinks if you have success with your music, probably it's because you have a ghost producer.
Oh yeah, that's the first idea, no? As a DJ, like, okay, who's your producer? And then you say, me, I'm producing this track. It's like, okay, but they don't believe, you know.
And to add to that, I think it's very important what we teach our AI, which creates our algorithms. And if we teach them what we learned, I think that's not good, because then we will always have like a biased algorithm. So it would be good like to teach the algorithm something different, even if it's still like that 85% of men. I think it's still important like to look in that as well, to all the tech people here.
Don't skip female DJs.
That is the reason because we create a label, you know, because we need to teach for the older DJs. They can produce their own music, you know, and they can have the opportunity to create music, not only for publishing, or for make the track and put in Spotify, because they need to have now more than 1,000% of the 1,000 reproductions or reproductions. To be successful, to start to monetize, you know, and that is the reason because we're trying to teach to our producer to hey, you can do it with a little bit more effort probably, but you can do it, and you can do it a great work, yeah.
Yeah, I think the producer approach is like super valuable, and I think we should put more on the market, which comes to like female producers, but also changing the consumer bias is super important because you have the data input and a biased output, and I think the output is still very consumer biased. It can be based on genre, the track name, the speed of the track, whatnot, but ultimately it's about consumer bias. And if you just like alter the percentage of like female producers, then also the consumer bias will be different. So I feel like it's an approach from both sides. As you were saying, like we got to learn the algorithm differently.
Yeah, but we need a small effort from the industry, you know, because
100%, yes.
Okay, we can try to do it, but if the percentage of the women's producers are so slow or so small, probably we need a little bit more effort from the Spotify, from all the streaming platforms and everything.
Yeah, right now the thing is, if you play Charlotte de Witt, the next track is still Armin van Buuren, and not Peggy Gou or someone else, like another female. It's still like a male that comes after.
Yes.
And when we discussed a few days ago, we also were very much like, okay, maybe it's easy to see the problems that, okay, it's not enough female headliners. But then we discussed, okay, but let's actually go to the root of the problem, which is not just we're not getting enough female headliners. So please, whoever wants to jump into this topic.
I saw something very interesting when I was like researching a little bit about this topic and going more into depth. And it was a conversation that Amelie Lenz and Charlotte de Witt had last year at ADE. And they said one of the biggest problems is the competition that people make up between the females as well. So it's like not only that males are preferred at some point, but also females are being competitors in a way. And like a lot of the audience just, for example, post something and be like, give a thumbs up for, or like this emoji for Amelie and this emoji for Charlotte, and like whoever you want to see, like all that comparison between the women. I think that's also like a big issue that isn't talked about, because men are not being compared and women always have to like prove themselves even in front of women, and that's not female made between the artists, but that's like from the audience that wants to see this. And I think it's brutally unfair to women that also they have to not only tackle the whole like underrepresented female side, but also tackle the comparison between each other. So I feel like that's also an underlying problem that's not talked about enough. And it comes from the biggest artists in this industry. It comes from Amelie Lenz and Charlotte de Witt, who talk about it, so they must have experienced it firsthand.
That's true.
I think also it's important to talk about even more early on, like when it comes to child education, you can see that they grow up in a system where men have to be firefighters and women or girls love to be princesses. So I think that's something that's still there, and it's not very music focused, but I think it's one of the roots that are very important to tackle, to be honest, and go more into that and educate yourself more, to educate your kids or nephews, or yeah.
Absolutely, and education to listen more different kind of variety of music. No, it's an important thing. I remember the past month in IMS. I don't know if you know that other event from electronic music in Ibiza. And I talked with people from Pioneer, and they create a movement called Equal Beats. In Equal Beats, they start trying to research about why is the reason, because only the 13% of women sell or buy the products of Pioneer. Only they discover only the 30% of women is the people who buy the products of Pioneer. Okay, and they think, why this is the reason? Because why all the men buy more products for be DJing, for produce, for what reason? And I talk about this, and we talked with it before when we chatted the first time, and we say, okay, it's probably because we have a lot of other responsibilities first. And the men probably have more liberty to feel free to create, and for us, the education we always had behind our shoulders. It's like you need to be super careful with your money, with your dreams, with your family, and it's a lot of pressure for a woman, not for a man.
The priority of how you are going to spend the money as a woman is very different than as a man, like normally, no? Like, for example, it's allowed, it's more allowed, I think, to spend money in products for music or doing this, than woman has to spend it, I don't know, maybe in their kids or, a supermarket, whatever, like other priorities that we teach us from when we were raised, like, and now, but I think it's actually changing the way that women are involving in the music industry. Right now I see a lot of more producers, DJs from not just women. I mean FLINTA, like, and I think it's like we need more education about telling the women that they actually can do this,
Why the men have more priority for example, had more time to produce music, to be inside of the studio, is because the conciliation is about the women. Women need to be the person who talk about the kids. It's not fair.
Or the house, or whatever.
We need to teach. When you say we need to teach when there are kids, because they need to know they can do it.
They can do it. That's the thing, I think.
I think one other big problem I'm facing in my daily work is also that it's very difficult to actually discover FLINTA artists, because they're underrepresented on social media as well, and then we are back to the algorithm. But I think that's something that's difficult too. I would love to sign more women, to be honest, more female artists or FLINTA artists.
But I think it's like the algorithm, for example, in TikTok or these new platforms that make you super famous super quick. It's like women, I feel like they have to be more careful in the content than men. Like men can post whatever, and everybody's gonna say like, maybe you're not agree, but it's like, okay. But when a woman comes out and say something or post something or actually do some dumb stuff, whatever, for content, it's like very just judge it. And I think the algorithm is a bit close. So it's very, very difficult. I think it's more difficult for a woman to become more famous than for a man in social. So when it's about to expose your work, for example, the music or what you're making, or if you are producing a track or something, it's the same, Like we need, as a woman, I think we need to be more creative. We need to prove double. We need to, you know, like do a lot of stuff, but we need to be together also. Because when I see, for example, in my Instagram and I'm scrolling, I normally try, if I see something posted by a woman or a colleague, like immediately I do the like, I do the share, I do this, because it's a way to actually re-educate the algorithm to say, hey, like, we need to expose this, you know? So I think that's the point you say that searching or trying to find women artists is more difficult. It begins like this.
So let's talk a little bit about curation, lineups, quotas, festivals. Let's jump into this topic because it's an important one. Who would like to start?
We need more women or FLINTA or queer curators.
I think quotes, for me, as I see it, is like a tool in my job. I think it's like a tool that not will be necessary, I hope so, in the future, because we were going to be used to this. Like today it's necessary to have them because otherwise we don't have these spaces, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think, as you mentioned, like quotas are a tool, and we totally agreed on the fact that curation is also like a big step into the right direction, because quotas just exist in a system that otherwise can't be changed. And for that is just, I feel like it's not the goal. I feel like the goal is to have a parallel power structure that we build at the same time, which doesn't only like disrupt the other system, which is still male dominated and where we need quotas, but we can like say that with authority we build this parallel power structure, which is based on equality and based on like women and FLINTA people being in power. And for that to exist, I feel like we have to look more into the creation based on ability. As we agreed with your club, you're saying that most of the people there who work there are women or FLINTA people, and that didn't happen because you applied a quota, because you saw the CVs and you said, yes, they have the ability to work here, they're very well equipped to be here. And I think a great example could be LP Jabi, who has a creation with her lineup where she only plays with female other artists who also do live sets, so she can jam with them at the end of the B2B. And that's very much based on the ability of them to do live sets and not on them being females. So I feel like we have the quotas to disrupt one system, but at the same time I would tell everyone to like also install like parallel power structures where we build up women from the beginning, and that starts with the education, as you mentioned.
And I also think that if you look into the big festival lineups, it always feels like a mirror, and I wonder if it's just for me as a woman or also for men, if they look at lineups and I mean, actually look for FLINTA artists, for example. Is that something that you're looking for, or is it just not important for you? That's what I was wondering. And it's so in your face because a lineup is like big, a lot of names, and then you feel, I don't know, very small as a woman, I'd say, even if I'm not an artist myself, but that's so in my face that I feel like, wow, okay, that's actually still going on, because on the day-to-day basis, sometimes you don't think of that every day so visually, I'd say. And yeah, I think it's really important to have a tool to correct that in a way that it doesn't feel unfair. But yeah, I think quota is a difficult thing as well. As you said, it's a good tool to create that, but I think it also starts with signing artists, bookings beside festivals, the actual booker, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Also I think, sorry, I think it's not just having the quote, no? Like, for example, like you see a lineup and yeah,
we
it's
don't have
equal.
one, by the way, in Germany.
What?
We don't have one in Germany.
Wow.
Sorry.
We have in Argentina, we have quota.
Like, I think it's not just to have the FLINTA artists or diversity, you know, like artists that I believe that also, because normally when you see that, and then you see, yeah, a lineup full of women or FLINTA, they normally open the festival. And then you see this quota there, right?
Or the small name.
Yeah, of course, in the small lanes, and they play for nobody, and they don't give the chance to actually give a slot for headliners, and they don't, because they don't believe, because of course the famous artist has to be there, no? Like, but what about if we change that? Like, what about if we try not just to fill the quad? Like, what about if we try to fill the quad, but also give them the real space to express themselves, you know? Like in a good, because exactly, diversity is a responsibility for our side, totally. So if we don't see it that way, like things are not gonna change. Like we will keep this tool until forever.
I think the quota topic is complicated because when I talk with the promoters, when trying to selling my artist, they say, okay, I want to book an artist because it's a good artist, not because it's a woman, FLINTA, or men. But when you are a festival and receive public funding, you have a responsibility, I think. And yesterday I love the data, you know, I love the numbers. But yesterday I read the number who I'm super worried about me because it's only from the festival who receive public funding, only they have 34% of women in representation, you know, and you have a responsibility. You put money like a government in your festivals, you know, and you need to be a little bit more conscious about the gender things. You know, that is a thing.
Yeah, very interesting, as you say, complicated topic, I think. So what can everybody, let's talk about some, we have already, let's say, discussed some solutions, but what would you guys say, like what can everybody individually do, and what can also, like, let's say, the industry professionals, the curators, the promoters, everyone, what can we all do in order to actually change this?
First of all, support women and don't see them as like competitor. I think that's really important, but that's something everyone always says. Start early. Look for people that want to support you. Don't be small, be bold, I'd say. And yeah, I think to support more FLINTA people becoming, or like being the next generation in managing boards and head positions, no matter where on the label, if it's on the label side or in booking or somewhere else. I think it's really important to focus on that for a while, even if it feels a little bit unbalanced then. But I think to have, I don't know, for example, traineeships, just focusing on FLINTA for 1 or 2 years to try to put that in balance and create like equity, that would be a good thing to do. And for myself, I'm trying to focus more, or not more, but I try to focus a lot on FLINTA artists and try to find them, to help them and support them how I can, and also my colleagues, obviously. Yeah.
I think you say something very important, is like support actually with the resources, and yeah, create more spaces and redistribute, sorry, my English, the resources will be amazing. Like, yeah, full support on this, and for our side as promoters or bookers, like, yeah, create the space, pretty much.
In my case, I think if you are a consumer of electronic music, you need to buy tickets, first of all. Buy tickets, don't ask for list or guest list. If you are a DJ, buy music, okay, because a lot of DJ download free music and it's not fair. Buy music because that's the way from promote. Teach a little bit more about the things inside of the music industry to the new artists, to trying to involve more in all the process of royalties, and give more spaces the majors to trying to collaborate with the
Good
new
point.
one, you know, because why not? Always I see. Actually, I recently talked with a brand, a big brand here in the electronic music, and I talk about them with the concursos. How you say in English? With the contest. I mean, in the industry, no, all the time the big artists make a content for remixes, remixes of the small one, or maybe the emerging internet artists can do it. And I think I have an idea to make the different way. Why not now the emerging artist and the new one producer have a content with the big artists to try to make a remix of them? And because it's about the algorithm that again they can push a little bit more in the streamings, you know. I think we have a lot of possibilities to better things, to make better things in the industry. We have a lot of responsibility about that.
Absolutely. I think I have 2 points, a little bit about changing the mindset. For me, it's way more like valuable getting amazing feedback on production, on your work from other women. It means so much more to me and from other like FLINTA persons than being #1 on a male-dominated chart. I feel like that's like what I want to surround my mindset with. And that should also what team structures should be like. And I feel like if an artist goes through a team and every step of the way there is a woman, either if it's booking, if it's press, if it's management, marketing, whatever it is, they have like a positive experience because it's the same like surrounding, and they get like the same feedback without a bias, without any like judgment, and they can really be their true self. So if they then enter a male-dominated space, they always have this like team behind them that keeps them strong and keeps them confident and keeps them up. So I feel like changing the mindset a little bit from us trying to dominate or like change the male-dominated system to being more reliable on ourselves and pushing ourselves forward and not being like just cheered on by a male-dominated scene, but cheered on by the women and the FLINTA people in the scene.
Yeah, we need to make team, you know?
Exactly.
Like, we need to make a team. That's the thing.
Women are not competitive. It's like no competition between us, you know? It's like I try to help, but it's not so easy because the women are more competitive than men's.
Yeah,
you know?
but we need to re-educate our minds, as she said, yes. Because for me also it's important. We were talking about this, like male. What I admire of this community is because they are super supportive. So why women are not doing the same? You know?
Because they're taught not to be like that.
Yes, but now we can change this.
Yeah,
we are grown-ups now and we understand that if
we
we have that circumstance when we were younger, now we can change it, you know?
I think it's more easy for the new generation for us than for the older ones, you know?
Thank
because
God.
They can create.
Thank God.
They can create another kind of a structure.
Yeah.
But I feel also that this is already happening in some spaces. Like, at least in my bubble, I feel this is happening and it's changed. When I started, I felt more competitive than I do now because, I mean, when it comes to women, when it comes to men, I'm always there for competition. No, but I feel like we have a lot of support in our team. We have, like, at least a few women in our team. No, we have a very female team actually, which is nice, and I feel that this is already happening. It's not like bringing someone down and be better than the other female. It's more the other woman. It's more about being just good, and this in a team in general, which is a good feeling, to be honest.
But we need a positive discrimination. Because if not, we can move forward, you know? We need a little bit more of a positive discrimination for women and FLINTA people inside of the industry.
But what I also see is that if a team of women work well, then I feel like men entering that space, they see that it works well and they trust it more as well. It's not only about education of women, but also educating men that women are able.
That is a thing who I talk everything. Well, a lot of time this panel have only women talking about this. For what reason?
Exactly.
We need a man.
Yeah, we need a man
that's
this, you know? Educated here. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you have a non-binary.
Okay, thank you for that.
If it works.
So I would ask as a final question before we have a little bit of time for some audience questions as well. Maybe Natalia, you would like to tell us a little bit more what you do with Femnoise, and then maybe if you guys have any other advice or tips on initiative, collectives, anything where women and non-binary FLINTA people can also turn to and where we can also educate ourselves.
We started like a Femnoise in 2017 with a huge inspiration about female pressure. Suzanne, Electric Indigo, is a big inspiration for me. She created female pressure like a strong community and network to support each other in the electronic music here in Berlin. And we try to create a local collective first, and then we always move in different, evolve all the time in changes through the time on the necessities, you know. Always trying to find solutions, because it's nice talk, it's nice expose things and everything, but we need to make something really, really practical for women in the music. And we create this platform in the pandemic time to try to put all together inside of the platform, to try to find, it's like a big map. When you see the map and you can filter for location, filter for kind of music, or for occupation and everything. And we try to create a mock-up. It's a kind of, domestica, this kind of stuff, like a small courses. You can create your courses inside the platform, and you can show your courses and sell the courses around the world, but it doesn't work, because the women, we have another problem, is the digital gap. The digital gap is complicated, and they can use it, and they think it's a complicated things and everything. And now we move forward to create a kind of media to try to promote for free, obviously, because everything in Femnoise is for free, trying to promote the work of women, and trying to, for example, I have a release, I want to promote my release, you need to pay in Mixmag and I don't know, and everything, you know. And for emerging people, it's super complicated trying to promote their work in medias, you know, and trying to position in CIO and trying to make things to be more visible, your work. And we're trying to help with that now. And now we created 2 years before a small label called Femnoise Records, we want to make like an incubator for new talent, totally new talent. We want to create bigger stars. We want to make the pass between, or the jump between our label and trying to help them to push for big or medium labels. You know, we want to make that, to teach them to produce, probably to give them some tools, or maybe give them some publicity or to ads, everything. You know, and that is our work now: make the music and trying to make more visible the work of FLINTA women around Europe, around Latin America. We have a really good artists inside of the label, and like us, we have a lot of different, for example, the Lady of House is one of them. We have a lot of different representative collectives around. Probably we was one of the first one, and then it's a lot of others, because it's an important issue we need to talk.
Amazing, thank you very much. Any other tips on this?
Yes, I would definitely love to shout out a female-only collective called Layers. They founded themselves like recently here in Berlin, and they just brought out their first record with 13 women on it, and had their release party at during 30th of April or 1st of May, somewhere in between those dates, where everything was crazy here. And I think they really stand behind what they do, and they're being like disrupting the underground scene quite a lot. So it's been really lovely to see what they build, and it's been very organic. So it's not been pushed by them in any way, but more and more people are hearing about them, and they bring up like amazing artists like Peach on their last lineup. So it's been really cool to see that happening for them. And also for me, I've been seeing them grow, and it makes me really happy about that, to see that happening. And also She Said So. She Said So is a great initiative. I've been to their mixer last year at ADE, and we had so many like positive responses, just entering the room, and it felt really warm and welcomed, and you were able to talk about anything, and just amazing women, FLINTA people approaching you with positive comments and great exchanges of wisdom. So that's been lovely as well.
Another group, in WhatsApp group, if any woman here want to be part, is called Hishi Days is another collective, but they have Hair Sound. It's an international group of female inside of the WhatsApp group. It's super interesting because they can offer a lot of different things. And I can send you later the QR for share the group.
I also, as I said, something about child education. A good friend and colleague of mine founded together with another woman and mom the Family Music Hub in Berlin. Being a parent in that industry isn't easy, I think, and they talk about a lot around this topic. They also have a podcast, and I think it's worth checking out if you're a parent. And also Fembas Mafia, I think, is also good, supporting FLINTA, music production, newcomer, and I think that's also a good collective.
And in Mexico, you have one?
Well, in Mexico, I think we don't have like a strong community, but we do have a WhatsApp group. All the female DJs and producers that I know in Mexico, and we are a lot, like, I don't know, 300 in this group, and what we do is like support each other. Like if I can make it, for example, for a gig, instead of recommend any man, I will go straight to this WhatsApp group and say like, hey guys, this is happening, or them, or if we need something. For example, we have moms in that group, and sometimes they need to go and have a gig, and they don't have a nanny to take care about the kids. So if we are around and we don't have nothing to do, like, we can do that, you know, like. So I think sometimes, of course, here female pressure is something very, very important. But in Mexico, like right now, the goal is for me first create the platform that is the club to support more women, and the events, of course, as well, and everything that I'm involved in, the booking parties that we run and everything. We try to be more supportive, of course, with FLINTA and diversity for sure, and as after that, the goal will be maybe a Mexican Femnoise will be amazing.
Yes.
Because we need it, and but I think let's do something first with our community, with our own women that we surround. Like if we can support, let's do it.
Absolutely agreed.
Thank you so much for these lovely insights. It's been a pleasure doing this panel with you. So first of all, big round of applause for our amazing speakers. So I ask the team now, do we have like a couple of minutes for a couple of audience questions? Okay, so do we have some questions? Yes.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh. Hi. Super loud. This is just a point I wanted to add. I'm not sure if it was mentioned, but I would suggest an inclusivity rider as a compulsory thing that every artist should have, not just FLINTA artists, but also men headlining. Because if you have a man headlining and they care about representation, they are the ones who can make a real change. Because it shouldn't always be on us to only play if there is representation in the lineup. They should also have the idea in mind to be like, I'm only playing this gig if there is X number of FLINTA artists on the lineup. So, like, as an artist myself, I always make sure that I have an inclusivity rider, and I only play the gig if there is enough representation, but other men doing the same. So yeah, this is just a point I wanted to add.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for your interesting information. You're talking a lot about supporting young women. And for me, I think it's a huge problem that we only want to support young women, because one of the big issues for women are actually that we are born into family structures. We are supposed to be serving the family. So we are kept very small for many, many years. And me, myself, I could first start at age of 50. And I think it would be very great if one also start to support women who's actually managed to raise their children, to get out of those family structures and give them a chance also to bring their music out into the world.
It's true.
Yes, we have in CISO, I'm member of CISO too. They have a special chapter for talks about, for example, the conciliation, about help women with their families and help trying to. We have a super issue called edadismo in Spain. I don't know who is the name in English, because it's for example, the people in the music industry are super cruel because it's they doesn't expect a woman to start a career at 50 or for 45 exactly. And I think it's never too late to start, you know? And we need to support more women in trying to do it. For example, we have one of our producers, she started to produce at 48. And we support them, we support her, because it's her own dream to try to produce music and try to do something to do it.
That's
but it's
her.
a small, super small effort, you know? We can do it for everyone, obviously, but we need to be more conscious. The woman is like it's complicated.
Yeah, why when a man starts into 50, it's like, oh, it's the mature of DJs, no? And when a woman starts DJing or making music or presenting music when you're 50, it's like, oh, she's old.
Yeah,
No, it's the different way of being, and we don't need this
it's because
anymore.
about sexism. It's about
Exactly.
because the women probably
Exactly.
don't have so much time to be a success woman in the industry. If she's not young, she's not too much beautiful, and
Exactly.
I don't know, it's too much pressure about the women.
It's too much pressure. Like, you need to be thin and blonde, and I
But
don't
if
know.
you want to produce, we invite you to send your tracks for our label. We're super happy to try to see something, you know? Why not?
Think one final question we can do. Right behind you.
What is your advice for men who are allies that want to support you, that also don't want to step on your toes or overshadow your efforts? How do we support and be allies without being, oh, I'm mansplaining something to you, or the man is getting the focus? Like, how do we help you?
Constant support and not putting. I mean, you should step back maybe if you feel like, oh, now it's good to have a moment, and I don't know. I think it's good to have men, and really important, especially as we have so many men in head roles. We need men basically to support us. So this is something really important, and I experienced that. But to don't overshadow, I think it's good to be inclusive and to support with what you know, and don't be like, how do you say that in English? Herab. Yeah, from top to bottom. Yeah, just be more like a team and from like the same height, eye to eye.
I would also say talk to other men, because I feel like
Yeah.
men still listen to other men more than women,
Exactly.
unfortunately. So if you could talk to other men about this, that would be lovely, because luckily you listen and you understand, but not all do. So
Yes.
get more of your kind, please.
Spread the message, and also what you do, actually, it's actually the thing you need to do. Ask if you need help. Like, I think that's the basic information you need to know. No, love.
And I think the clue is the girl who sits there say before. If you are an artist, you need to try to be more conscious about where you play, and try to be a little bit more effort to talk with the curators, you know? You can do it a lot of things, actually.
Give platform.
And we need to team back, guys. Like, we need to do that.
Yes.
So, thank you again so much for doing this panel, for bringing your insights, for bringing your knowledge, for your initiatives. And thank you so much for listening, for asking your questions, for being here, because it's an important panel and it's important to take part. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you,
so much.
Matilda, as well.